International market players have already begun to factor in a strong possibility of central banks taking it easier when it comes to the imposition of interest rates. This as inflation seemingly cools off. This will go a long way in boosting economic activity and in improving the value of the currency in consumers' pockets. But there are also other factors auguring well for a better global performance.
Above all, probably the decision by the Chinese authorities to lift all lockdown restrictions on COVID-19. And although this is creating the uncertainty about how China is dealing with the fallout from that in terms of the massive increase in infections, the markets and analysts are adopting a more positive view that says that opening up China implies an increase in potential demand from China for the world's resources, and that should help economic growth.
The IMF has hardly moved on its previous estimates for South Africa this year, pegging growth of 1.2% with a slight uptick in 2024. This is in stark contrast to the Reserve Bank's view that the local economy will grow by 0.3% this year and 0.7% in 2024. Speaking at the announcement of the interest rate decision last week, Governor Lesetja Kganyago cited persistent load shedding, with the bank estimating that South Africa would endure around 250 days of the same.
I don't believe that the IMF has fully taken into account what the Reserve Bank did in respect of the impact of intensified load shedding and the likelihood. I think the more important thing is here that there seems to be little light at the end of the short-term tunnel in terms of load shedding. I think the Reserve Bank has resigned itself to the fact that load shedding is going to be with us right through this year and next year.
While the global growth outlook has improved somewhat, certain risks remain. The Russia-Ukraine war could intensify, which would have adverse effects, including the potential for increased geopolitical fragmentation. The IMF also warns that China's recovery remains under threat, given that the country is still contending with higher incidences of COVID-19 infections. There are also concerns that a number of emerging and developing economies are now struggling with higher debt burdens on account of the higher global interest rate environment, threatening to put such economies on the back foot. The IMF says this needs to be addressed urgently. It says other policies that must be spearheaded include continuing to bring down inflation, containing the emergence of COVID-19, ensuring financial stability and supporting the vulnerable, which the international lender says will go a long way in setting the global economy up for better improved growth. Nompumelelo Siziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.